We're on page 161, Siman Kuf Mem. We started a new chapter, Shulchan Aruch last night. But I'm going to start from the beginning so you don't have to worry. We spoke until now about the different kinds of things you could wash your hands with, putting it in a mikveh, putting it in a river. That's all we discussed until now. Now we're talking about Ezo Mayim Ksherim, which is kasher water, which is the water that is usable for washing your hands. Ve'ezo Psulim Nintila. And which of them are pasul, are forbidden to be used for washing your hands. Uvo Tetvav Seifim, and there are 15 halachot in this chapter. 15. So let's start off the first one. Maim Shnishtanul Marehen. Water whose appearance has changed. Ben Machamat Atzman, whether that happened on its own. Ben Machamat Davar Shnafal Letochan, or whether something fell into the water and changed the colors of the water. Ben Machamat Mekomam, or whether it's in a place that causes the water to turn a different color, become putrid. It doesn't make a difference what caused it. If it caused itself or something else caused it, psulim. There, pasul, you cannot use that water for anything today. I'm going to follow that up with the next halakha, and then we'll go back to the sources.
Is he going to talk about salt water?
Yes, we'll talk about salt water, which is relevant, let's say, at the beach and things like that. So,
you can use an ocean for a mikveh.
well, let's leave the second halakha for now. Let's go now to the bottom. 161. Dinei mei netilah, the halachot of the waters of hand washing. Mayim shnishtaneh marehen, water whose appearance has changed. Mayim shnishtaneh marehem aleph, water that its appearance has changed. Machamat shnafal letochem dio o shar tzveim, water that has changed because ink or other colors has fallen into them. Psulim netilat yadayim, they're forbidden to be used for hand washing. The origin of this halakha is because in the Beit HaMikdash, if this would have happened to the waters of the Kohanim, you wouldn't be able to use them. And because we learn the halachot of hand washing from the Beit HaMikdash, even though it's not the same thing, but we learn it from there, so we also learn out the things that nullify the water, invalidate the water. And if the water changed because of smoke that fell into them, that also is forbidden according to do Nitat with. And also water that its appearance has changed because of where it's located. An example, the vessel which holds the water has been colored with some kind of color. And because of the vessel, the water changes color. Or the water was in a vessel of wood, or dirt, or metal. And because of that, the water has changed. Or it stood in a stagnant place and the water changed because of that. It's forbidden to use them for Nitat Yadayim. Let me give you an example. There are, that was someone's house. They just had painted their swimming pool. And they thought they got off cheap because they were going to repair the house. It was going to be a lot of money to paint the pool. And when they drained the pool, they got some person to do the job for cheap. Don't worry, I come do it a quarter of the price. Did the thing. They put the water back in. It looks beautiful. A week later, all the water turned white. Because the paint they use is not good paint for a pool. There's a reason why the guy could do it for a quarter of the job than the other person. The paint has to stick to the wall, not go into the water of the pool. It was a balagan. The filter got messed up, a filter full of paint. It's not a little bit of paint, it's a whole pool worth of paint. You save a little bit now, and you're going to pay the price later. It wasn't even a long later, it was a bad later. This water, is it bad water? Not necessarily. The water was clean when you put it in here. But the place in which you put the water affected it. Someone brought me this artistic washing cup when I got married. It was from HaShamayim, a hand-painted washing cup. I remember my wife took it out. I said, this is going to be a problem. Like, hand-painted should go on a Havdalah candle, should go on a I don't know, a stained glass window, but on a washing cup, it has to be something durable, not a piece of art. I said, this is probably meant to be in the closet. No, people do this all the time. Okay. That washing cup, every time you put in water, it comes out red, it comes out blue, it comes out yellow. Whatever color is leaking at that time, it's not meant to be used for hand washing. Now, if someone would use that cup, I don't mind if some color got on my hands, but that water is pasul. Yes, the cup holds enough. Yes, the cup, but it's not good water for hand washing.
There's some dollar candles that are painted, make a big mess.
Big mess,
the blue ones that just drip.
The blue and white.
And it gets on your tablecloth. That's it.
וכן מים שנשתנה מראיהם. נשתנה מראיהם מחמת עצמם. The water changed on its own. כגון שעמדו בכלי ימים רבים, because it sat in a vessel for a long time. Mario. Nothing. Mario's friend came. So, v'chen, it was sitting in a vessel for a long time, and then what happened to it?
Probably got algae.
It became green.
Oh, what?
It happens, no?
Yeah.
I mean, did anything fall into the water? No. Was there something wrong with the vessel? No. But the water itself stood for too long and turned green.
Whether that's called.
Psulim nitilat yadayim, that's pasul for nitilat yadayim. Va'afilu b'di'avad. Wow, it's an interesting thing. People drink all kinds of things. Now they have this kombucha drink. I don't know. Listen, I'm not a health expert. I don't know what kombucha is good for you, kombucha is bad for you. I don't care really. Either way. I remember once I had bought a drink in yeshiva back in high school, and we didn't have refrigerators in yeshiva, so it was some kind of like a cold brewed iced tea. I think about something like that. And we didn't have a fridge, so we left it on the counter. And Friday night, Shabbat day, coming. I'm gonna move over one minute. And then here, right here. Tuesday night rolls around, and my friend's like, "Oh, can I have some iced tea?" Sure, he picks it up, and there's like stuff growing in the bottom.
Because you're calling kombucha.
Now,
Kombucha.
see, homegrown kombucha. Look at that.
Yeah.
If I would have kept the bottle now, people would pay a lot of money for it. But
This is made with tea and sweet.
sweet. That's
And then the mushroom grows, which is just a type of
is
bacteria.
that so? That's actually what's happening there.
It's a mushroom. It's not a mushroom. It's bacteria.
Now the halakha, this water would be forbidden to be used for hand washing. ואפילו בדיעבד, אם נטל ידיו במים ששתנה מראיהם, אפילו מחמת עצמם, צריך לחזור ולטול ידיו במים אחרים בברכה. What happens if you use this water that you shouldn't be using for washing your hands? This water it doesn't even count. I mean, you don't even get the mitzvah of hand washing, and you have to go back and do it again, a second time. With a bracha, meaning it's not even a little bit count, it just doesn't count at all. והיינו אפילו אם טעה או בירך כשנותן ידיו פעם ראשונה וחושך אם לא בירך נתת הראשונה. It doesn't make a difference if you bless or didn't bless the first time, you have to repeat it again.
So it's accounted if you said the bracha the first time, it's a wasted bracha?
It would be. It would be saying Hashem's name
In vain, yeah. So it's a double whammy.
Right, which is why some would think, hey, maybe you shouldn't make a blessing the second time. But the answer is it didn't work the first time. So the second time is it's a new cycle. It's a new mitzvah. The reason why he rules that way is because the Rambam mentions that water that's color has changed is forbidden. But the Rambam doesn't mention, it mentions water that changed because ink fell into it or color fell into it. He mentions water that changed because of where it is, but not water that changed because of itself. And some want to read in there that the Rambam doesn't have a blanket prohibition on water that's color has changed. Only water that's color has changed except for when it changes because of itself. People, it's not necessarily the correct way to read it, but there are those who read it this way, and because of that, they might be concerned about making a blessing the second time, because maybe according to the Rambam, the first time
I assume he's going to talk about, say, if you take water from a river and there's some silt at the
Yeah, we're going to talk about muddy water, what happens when it settles. Absolutely.
Was the Rambam saying that these are the only definitive situations, or are you saying situations like this and this and this?
There are those that say the Rambam is giving a blanket statement, and those are the Rambam is specifically excluding this scenario. The bottom line for us is that the Shulchan Aruch rules this way. But still, it's important to try to understand what the Rambam was saying, and there's an argument about that. Do you wanna bring the first volume of Rambam from the? It's going to be the blue set, and it'll be the one that says Aleph on the back. It might be in the wrong place. I saw one Rambam in the wrong place. That's Shulchan Aruch. You want the blue set?
Oh, sorry. I'll go back here.
Is there an Aleph?
Yes.
Perfect. If you want to look up the Rambam yourself, this Rambam is in the 6th chapter of the Laws of Blessings, the 7th halacha. Look. It's why important to look inside for something. Yeah. The Rambam writes, "Arba dvarim poslim tamayim." There are 4 things that make water not fit for use for washing your hands. 4 things. Let's count the 4 things. The first, shinui mareh, change in color, in appearance. Change in appearance is what. The gilui, leaving it uncovered. Vasiyat melacha bahen, using the water for some kind of other purpose and then reusing it for washing your hands. The hefsed shemunat behemam lishot mahen, and anything which would cause an animal not to drink from that water. These are 4 things.
Okay.
Now the Rambam goes say, Ketzad mayim shishtanu marehen. What does it mean water whose appearance has changed? Ben bekelim, whether they're in vessels. Ben bekarkaot, whether they're in the ground. Ben machamat davar shnafal atochan, whether something falls into it or not. Ben machamat mekoman, or if it's because of the place where it's at. Harei elu psulim, these are invalidated.
So that
doesn't
quotes the Shulchan Aruch exactly.
Exactly. Maran though adds one sentence there, and that is, whether it changed its color because of itself.
But he's not excluding that.
But he said if it sits a long time. Or
Maran
how'd you
doesn't,
phrase the second
Rambam
one?
doesn't say that.
Oh,
Said
what was
that
the
at the
second reason?
If it stays uncovered,
Stays
which he's going to
uncovered.
talk about what is that, and that's really a different.
Oh, I thought it was
First thing he
related.
does, if it changes color, he doesn't say.
If one were to be reading this Rambam, just reading it, you don't. The Rambam is giving you a few practical examples of things where color has changed. But to exclude something because the Rambam didn't explicitly mention it, I don't feel like there's an argument here between Maran and the Rambam. Rather, Maran is simply adding another case that the Rambam didn't mention. And it's splitting a hair even incorrectly I mean, listen, I'm not arguing that the Poskim will say otherwise, but
Are there similar things with mikvah water?
absolutely.
So what happens if, because I've been to mikvahs like in New York and Los Angeles where 50 guys have been in before you.
Men's
One's
mikvahs, not women's
men's
mikvahs.
mikvah. Yeah. Of course, there's no halakhic things in the men's mikvah, I guess.
In men's mikvahs, I almost had to go immerse my dishes in a men's mikvah. I went in there, never mind, I'm never going to eat from these things again if I put my dishes in the men's mikvah.
Yeah, they're all kosher, but who's going to eat them?
It's gross. It's mamash a problem. How dirty does the mikvah have to be for the mikvah to be considered dirty? Really, it's a problem if the mikvah is dirty. It's mentioned. Our parents mentioned it. By the way, it's for this reason that when we build mikvahot for women, we don't let men go
Good point.
because
I get it.
you know that a lady would know that just. I'll tell you, my wife doesn't agree in this halacha. My wife says the same ladies go to the swimming pool with men. So why now a man comes to her mikvah and she doesn't want to use it? It's
Matter of
nonsensical. Yeah, she goes to the pool also, a jacuzzi also. So why all of us had it now the mikveh? But I think that there's truth to it. And if one person's going to choose not to go to the mikveh because they're grossed out by the thought of someone else having used the mikveh, it's not worth having men inside the mikveh. And that's why for today you see that's a standard. There are women's mikvahot and men's mikvahot. Yes,
Do we have filters in the mikveh?
we do have filters in the
Oh,
mikveh.
okay.
But what you're talking about, like in Zev scenario, you're talking about a mikveh that first off you're not sure the filters. Men's mikvahs are generally very neglected. Women's mikvahs look very nice. Men's mikvahs are like holes in the ground with water. And even if they are, ladies go to the mikveh one at a time, once every hour, or only at night times. Men go to mikvahot. It's like 1,000 people will use a mikveh one morning. You're talking about a Hasidic community, for example. Every person in the synagogue went to the mikveh first.
It's a public bath.
You can pull the chairs closer.
Especially on Shabbat mornings.
It's a public bath.
Yeah, it is. Literally, it's a public bath. Mamash, this is,
Yeah.
and it looks like it. I've never gone to a mikveh. I'm not afraid. Never.
They give out Machkigel.
Metal.
In the mikveh?
The right one's in New York.
Here, Dan, if you and Dan move up to the end of this table here, you'll have a place to table.
Arab Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, listen, from my superficial reading of the Rambam, it doesn't seem to me that the Rambam would hold that water that changed for any other reason aside from what he mentioned are going to be kasher. The Rambam mentions water changing appearance as a general rule, and then he gives examples for them. But before we go to the next step, why do we learn halakha? Someone asked me this question recently. Why do we even study Jewish law? What kind of color? What thing changed the color of the water? Like, who cares? Like, go to a sink, get yourself clean water, keep moving. What's the purpose of learning halakha?
Well, one of it is reasoning, to understand how they came to the decision.
Okay, so there's a part of halakha, let's say, which is to know the thought process between where the laws were given in the Torah and how they were explained by the rabbis in Talmud, and then how we actually follow them today. That's very important. That's one, the thought process. Why else do we learn halakha?
You want to know how to act in a certain situation.
Okay, the practical side of learning halakha. Hashem says that we should follow His commandments. How are we supposed to follow His commandments if we don't know how to follow His commandments? That's true.
You're supposed to learn everything. You have to understand the concept of what you're doing.
Okay, third, in order to know why it is that you're doing what you're doing, you have to understand.
And also to give you a slight more flexibility.
Okay, so to know the parameters of Jewish law and how much which direction you could push them, how flexible they are, and to know how to interpret those in each situation.
You remember them a lot better. You understand them.
Let me tell you a story.
Hmm?
Let me tell you a story. About 6 years ago, this month, I was sitting with my wife on our first date in Jerusalem. I think 6 years. Don't tell her if I don't know. She doesn't know either. Every year we forget our anniversary and the English anniversary. Oh, don't worry, we'll remember by the Hebrew one. The Hebrew one comes, we forget it also. Every year at Rosh Hashanah, we remember 3 weeks ago was our anniversary.
Do you know her name?
Sometimes.
That's good, I always forget mine.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
We were sitting down on our first date, and we have to what do you talk about? Two people from two different places. What is there even in two different worlds? So we had a conversation about the Kotzker Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotzk. And we started literally 3 hours of Kotzker Rebbe stories. I didn't even know there were 3 hours worth of Kotzker Rebbe stories. Kotzker Rebbe is a very interesting Hasidic Rebbe, radically truthful, and sometimes it comes off as very rude. It's the style of a Rebbe that he was. The Kotzker Rebbe led his Hasidut Kotzk, which was the Ger and all the Gur, they break away from here. Peshischa, all the Hasidic groups, they break away from Kotzk, are radical in their approach. The Hasidim were at war with the other group of Jews, the Mitnagdim, those who opposed the Hasidic movement. And there was a famous rabbi, Rabbi Akiva Eger. Rabbi Akiva Eger's son or grandson, don't hold me to it, Rav Leibel Eger, he decided to become Hasidic. The difference between Hasidim and their opponents in Europe, in Ashkenazi Jewry, was so great that when he heard that Rav Leibel Eger was moving to Kotzk to become Hasidic, he sat Shiva for his child as if he died. And the family treated him like he was dead. Glorious history of the Jewish people. I told you the other day that the wars between the Hasidim and the Mitnagdim are from the greatest Chilul Hashem that ever happened in the Jewish people. But I said Shiva for him. You think, where did he go? What terrible place did he put? He went to go to Kotzk. Why? He felt that there was some spiritual experience that he was lacking in his non-Hasidic upbringing that he wanted to experience in Kotzk. He heard about Kotzk. He heard that they learn a lot of the complaints the Lithuanians had in the Hasidim were that they're so into their spirituality they don't learn enough like the Lithuanians learn. The Hasidim have the opposite complaint. They say Lithuanians learn so much they don't have any spirituality. It's a double-edged sword. So he decided Kotzk was the place he could go to become Hasidic while still maintaining the standards of learning that he had in the home of the Eger family. So he goes there, and he spends 6 months in Kotzk. And he's absolutely unimpressed. Completely unimpressed. Like, there's nothing special here. You guys learn just like we learn in my house, and we learn better in my house. There's nothing deeply spiritual over here. I don't get it. Everything that I've learned here so far, I could have learned on my own. So he tells the Kotzker Hasidim that after the high holidays, he's leaving. He's going to go back home. He's done. It was a nice stint with the Hasidim, but he's going to have a resurrection of the dead and go back into his family. And I don't know what they'll do then. Maybe they'll do a brit milah. I don't know what's going to happen when he comes back a second time. But this was his plan. So it's Yom Kippur night. They finish Kol Nidrei. They finish the fast of the year. Nobody's eating. Nobody's drinking. Everyone's dressed in white. And he sits down to study. And he sits down to study. And this group of Kotzker Hasidim, they come over and they pull up a chair next to him and say, "Hey, Leibele, you want to drink a l'chaim? You want to have a shot?"
Yeah.
They take out a bottle of vodka. And he said, "Are you guys crazy? No, you're not allowed to drink on Yom Kippurim." Drink Yom Kippurim. Here, they open the bottle. And he says, you guys are out of your mind. You're going to actually drink vodka on the holiest fast day of the year? Don't you know Shulchan Aruch, the code of Judaism, you can't drink on Yom Kippurim? You and your Shulchan Aruch. They pour him a shot. They say, "Here, take it." He says, "I got to know the Talmud says you're not to drink on Yom Kippurim." They say, "You and your Talmud, just make a bracha already, Shaq. What are you waiting for?" And he says, "You guys are out of your mind. The Torah says that you can't drink tonight. If you drink, you cut off yourself, the Jewish people. How can you drink tonight?" And they said, "Listen, Leibele, we get it. You're really litvish. Huh? It's cute. But you and your Torah should go somewhere else. We're waiting to say amen already to your bracha." Now he lost his mind. He's like, "Now I definitely need to leave Katz." So you guys are out of your mind. The creator of the universe, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you can't drink today. You're going to drink today? Leibele, if it took you 6 months in Katz to learn that the reason we don't drink on Yom Kippurim is not because it says in the code of Jewish law, or because it's because the creator of the heaven and the world, the universe tells us that we can't drink. He said, then you just started in Katz. You're not 6 months in. You're your first day here. And he decides that he's going to stay in Katz. The most important part of learning halakha is halakha. Halakha means to walk. To walk in the way of the Creator. That's the purpose of learning halakha. Now those who study halakha incorrectly, they sit here thinking, really again now we're going to have another 2 weeks talking about which kind of water and which kind of algae and which kind of color and is it going to be because it changes that? Is that where is the godliness in all of this? And the answer is everything that you said. Everything that you said is halakha. One of the giants of Ashkenaz writes that halakha is the ability of a human being to understand the way the creator of the world thinks. When we want to decide how we do something, Hashem doesn't think in meditating on a yoga on a hilltop. HaKadosh Hu thinks through the realm of halakha. This is the way the creator thinks. It's a crazy thing. But halakha is experiencing the way Hashem thinks, so that when you become an expert in halakha, you're able in the rest of your life to make decisions in the most divine way possible. And so even though what you're sitting through and thinking through might seem so insignificant, so detail-oriented, but details matter. Details make a big difference. And I know that here I always talk about the bigger picture, and the bigger picture, details are also important. If two people buy their, I once told you a famous story, two young yeshiva students, they buy their fiancés' watches for in honor of their engagement. And one of them buys a very expensive watch, but he buys such an expensive watch that he runs out of money to buy wrapping paper. So he finds a newspaper in the dumpster and he wraps up the thing, but it's like $1,000 watch on it. And the other guy says, I'm going to spend some money on the bag, a nice card, some chocolates and roses, and a $50 watch. And they both go to their fiancé. Who do you think, which fiancé is happier? The first one says, what is this? A newspaper, smacks him across the face, they break up, they don't get married anymore. Because sometimes the detail matters. You could buy the $1,000 watch. You could be accomplishing the big picture. But if you don't care about the details, you're going to be off. I have a thing in my car. The wire to the radio doesn't work. So the wire to the sound system doesn't work. So I have this piece that broadcasts to the radio from my phone. And then, so my 107.9, it has to be tuned to 107. If you put on 107.7, it's blurry. Who cares? Point something makes a difference? Of course, point something makes a difference. Point something makes a difference.
Science.
But halakha is the same way. You think a detail is so insignificant, but it is significant. Now we can't get stuck on the details. If all you care about is to point something and you don't even understand what's working, that's a different problem. Why am I telling you this? Because today in the morning I had a conversation. There's this website, a number of websites like this. Every time a website, an online sales website, makes a mistake. Let's say today in the morning there was a camera that's normally sold for $400, and the person posted it for $40. So this viral message went out to anybody who subscribed to these lists. You can buy a camera now for $40 that's normally worth $400. Are you allowed to buy such a camera?
Sounds
Taking advantage of the poor, like,
System.
clueless vendor that.
Well, what happens is
Misposted
that sometimes a vendor will say, we made a mistake, we're not going to honor these sales. This happens a lot in the airline industry. There was a company here in California. Somebody was on break and they were booking tickets for them and their fiancée to Hawaii. It happened here, and maybe even in San Diego. I'm not sure. And it was lunch, so everyone was like sitting around their desk eating lunch. And they found out the tickets to Hawaii on economy class was like $300 something. And on first class, they made a mistake, $17 tickets. It was like $1,700, but it was $17 round trip to Hawaii. And so this person said, wait, everyone, stop eating your lunch, get online, we're doing a company trip to Hawaii. And they did. Everybody booked first class tickets to Hawaii. Now the airlines, like United, Delta, whoever it was that was doing this flight to Hawaii, and they're faced with it's a PR disaster here. On one hand, they made a mistake, and you took advantage of a mistake. It's not like one person made a mistake. The whole company decided to book flights to Hawaii. I mean, you knew there was a mistake, and you took advantage of it. They could say, hey, we're not going to honor you guys are crooks. On the other hand, it's a PR nightmare, because these people are going to go on social media and they're going to, oh, look, we bought tickets, we paid for that, they didn't accept them, they didn't. Most companies that I've watched honor the mistake, because it's better for them to not lose those clients and to lose a little bit of money. Someone else pays for it at the end of the day. Some employee that gets laid off. Someone loses, but they decided that you're not the one who loses.
Just a write-off.
So, yeah, I mean, it's part of the. And now, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're not, I'm sure that your and mine $7 ticket didn't break them. But the question is, did it break you? Are you now a thief? Because they may have honored something, but that doesn't mean they wanted to honor something.
What if
There's-
you don't know? Like, if
Well,
you-
there's a halakha. Halakha is that if you go to somebody and say, hey, I've said this before, the difference between a ganav and a gazlan,
armed.
uh,
So killing.
one of them is an armed robber who comes forcing his way in the middle of the day, and one of them is a thief. A thief and a robber, and the thief slips in the middle of the night, they break through the window. Two different people. They have two different sets of laws in halakha. Neither of them are good, just they're two different approaches to how the courts would punish them in Jewish law is different. What about a chamsan? We hear this word Hamas, not the terrorist group. Hamas, maybe that's the same origin. I don't know. Hamas in Hebrew. We see the generation of Noach was punished with a flood because of Hamas. Why Hamas? What is Hamas?
Robbery. Some kind
It's some kind of robbery, but
of
it's
cheatery.
different.
It's a con, maybe. A
Yeah,
con
okay.
game.
Watch this. I come to you and I say, hey Zev, I like that necklace. How much are you going to sell it for? He says, not for sale. It's my great-grandmother's. I'm just making up a story. It's not Zev. Yeah? And he says, no. How much is it worth? Okay, like really? Maybe it's worth $500. Yeah, it's pure. Okay, $500. I say, I'm going to give you $1,000. He says, no, I don't want it. I'm going to give you $1 million in cash. You go back to your place where you hide all your illegal money and you sold, right? Down with your mortgage. You take $1 million, you put it on the table, you grab his necklace, you walk out of the door. Did you steal?
Yes.
You gave him $1 million.
He didn't want to sell it to you, though.
He didn't want to sell it,
There's no backup.
but you forced his hand. But even if he agrees to sell it, but you realize that you're forcing a person under duress to sell something, that may very well be considered not robbery, not thievery, but Hamas. It's a different kind of act of taking something from somebody that they didn't want to get rid of. This, at the best case scenario, this is not thievery, but it's Hamas. You force someone to do something, to sell you something they didn't want to sell. Maybe even at a price. You're not paying $1 million for a $500 object, you're paying $17 for a $500 object. So where does this, where do people rely on here? I had this argument today in the morning. Because I said, you're more than welcome to buy this camera, but you'll violate one of the 10 commandments of thou shalt not steal. Lo tignov.